Senate Majority Leader, Republican Senator Steve Gooch joining us right now. Thank you so much for being here. I want to get your thoughts post sine die. What do you think were some of the biggest wins for you all?
Oh, well, thank you, Faith, for that question. I think one of our biggest wins, obviously, is the budget. We have a balanced budget requirement in Georgia. Unlike Washington, D.C., Georgia has to have its balanced budget every year. And so that's one of the things we're mandated to do, unlike other states. And DC could learn a lesson from that. But we also passed some really key, significant legislation this year with lawsuit reform. That was a big issue. It was a priority of Governor Kemp. He led on this issue for 2 years, and we passed Senate Bill 68 and Senate Bill 69, and we hope to see some lowered insurance premiums come as a result of those two pieces of major legislation passing this year. The Senate's been working on that for about 5 years now, and we were happy to have the support of Governor Kemp this year to make sure we got those two pieces of legislation across the finish line. We also put a lot of efforts into helping the people of South Georgia. If you remember last fall, Hurricane Helene devastated portions of South Georgia from Augusta all the way down to Valdosta, and over 5 to almost $6 billion worth of damages were estimated because of that one storm. And so the state Senate and the House of Representatives put in hundreds of millions of dollars in the storm relief for the victims of that big hurricane last year. So those were some of the big wins this year, and there's many others we could talk about.
And last time we spoke, it was during crossover days, so some of those bills were just getting crossed over. Senator, so you guys gavelled out a bit early, a little surprising to some people. What do you think was left on the table?
I think the Senate worked really hard early in the session. We didn't wait till the very end, like I've seen happen too many times in the past. So we pushed most of our priorities early. In fact, we passed every one of the Senate's priorities this year about halfway through the session. We were pretty happy with where we were, and the Senate and the House have a good working relationship. Speaker Burns has a good working relationship with Lieutenant Governor Jones, and so we got all of our stuff done mid-session, and we were looking at what was left on the last night there, Sunny Die last Friday, and we decided that we believe that most of the important things were done, and we could wait until next year. And this is a 2-year process, and so the bills that did not pass this past Friday would be available come January of 2026. So we could literally pick back up where we left off last Friday and continue working when we get back in session in January.
I want to switch gears here a little bit, Senator, if I may. I want to ask you about some changes coming to the Georgia Democratic Party. We know that Congresswoman Nikema Williams, who was once the leader of the party, has stepped down. They are set to have a vote on who will be the new leader next month. Senator, is this a weakness that Republicans might capitalize on looking ahead to 2026?
Well, I believe the Democrat Party is in a quandary right now. If you look at what happened last November, November 5th, the American people spoke loud and clear. And they spoke loud and clear saying that they wanted change. They did not like the direction that the Democrats had been taking our country under the Biden administration. And I believe that resonated throughout every state in the nation. In fact, Donald Trump won the popular vote and the electoral vote. And that resonated here really loud in Georgia as well. The Democrat Party, in my opinion, has been taken over and hijacked by the extreme left. We have some good Democrats in our Senate caucus that work hard. They're moderate. They look at bills and weigh the bills on their merits, and a lot of them vote with us on a bipartisan basis. But you have some more extreme leftist, woke type mentalities that are popping up now in the Democratic Party. And I think some of that comes from the leadership at the top of the party. And so I think it's time for the Democrats to really have a wake up call and look at themselves and say, what do we stand for? Do we represent the will of the people that put us in these elected positions, or do they represent a minority extreme left wing of their party? And I hope they'll come back to the center and look more at a more moderate position in the future at some of these bills. We passed a lot of good, sensible legislation this year. We tried to cut taxes for all hardworking Georgians. We eliminated income tax for military retirees that live in our state. We tried to cut back on red tape for government regulations. Some of the Democrats fought us on that tooth and nail. And so those are some of the things I think that the Democrat Party has sort of lost its way on. And I think that is a reflection of the leadership of their party.
I want to ask you this. Do you feel that there is any room, or are Republicans at all concerned that Democrats will get it together and present a competitive race or races, shall I say, in 2026?
I think they'll be working hard to try to find a slate of candidates that they can put up against all of our Republican candidates. We're proud that Georgia is represented now by Republicans from the top of the ticket down. We do have one Democrat at the top of the ticket, and that's U.S. Senator John Ossoff, and that's going to be the target for the Republican Party next year. We're going to find a good, strong candidate that will go through our primary process, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of good candidates. We have a deep bench in the Republican Party now. And so we look forward to the debates with our Republican nominee against the Democrat nominee next fall. And we believe we can provide a message to the people of Georgia that will resonate, and we will win in the November election, and we'll take back the U.S. Senate seat.
If I could ask you about 2026, we know that some of your colleagues, Brian Strickland, has filed paperwork to run for AG. There's some inklings, some rumors that Blake Tillery will throw his hat in the race, one of the races. There's several that are coming up. Do you see yourself? Are you prepared to campaign for higher office next year?
That's been a lot of rumors about all the candidates that may be running next year, and I believe there'll be a lot of candidates that'll enter the races, not only from the General Assembly, but from around the state and around our Republican Party. Obviously, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones has not announced yet his intentions, but rumor has it that he may offer himself up to run for governor. That's an open seat. Chris Carr, the current Attorney General, has already announced that he'll be running for governor. And then a lot of people are waiting to see what Governor Kemp's plans are for the future. He may be a candidate for U.S. Senate, or he may sit out the next 2 years and look at some higher office in 2028. And I believe the decisions that both Kemp and Jones make could create a domino effect down the ballot in all of these other races. And, there'll be people like myself that'll take a look at some options, and we'll make that decision here in the near future. And I believe you'll be hearing about some of those in the coming weeks.
In the coming weeks. Okay. So, and that was going to be my other question. So, folks who I've spoken with, my sources, they said that domino word, like you said, kind of waiting to see where it is. I mean, you mentioned some big offices here, Senator, Attorney General, Lieutenant Governor. With your leadership in the state, there's a lot of people who have been looking up to you as Senate Majority Leader. I mean, the ducks seem to fall in line for a run for you.
Well, that's very kind of you to say that. I've sat in the Senate now for about 15 years. I've worked my way up through leadership. I've served in several roles. I served as the chairman of the Transportation Committee. I've been the majority whip for 7 or 8 years. And now this is my third year as a majority leader. And I've been honored to represent the people in Northeast Georgia in the 51st Senate District. And if I decide to offer my candidacy for higher office, then I would work hard around the state and offer myself to work hard for hardworking Georgians and deliver a conservative platform.
What I'm hearing is that you are seriously considering something, but you're waiting to see, and it could be a decision in the next couple of weeks.
Correct.